Welcome to Worth Your Play, the show where I lay out any and all video games and tell you if they're worth your play. I'm MuffinWantsMuffin, and today we'll be diving into a truly immersive fan game that tells the true and horrifying story of Five Nights at Freddy's. Before we get into the main game, here's a little context just in case you were in a coma from 2014 to 2016. Five Nights at Freddy's is a point-and-click survival horror game series first released in August 2014, and its unique take on the genre and mysterious backstory grew this game into a phenomenon and created millions of fans, including 10-year-old me. There's no way you don't remember this game, but whether you were a super fan or not, there's no denying the influence it had on its fans and the horror genre as a whole. When I was younger, like many kids on the internet my age, I loved these games. Call it morbid curiosity, but I ate these games up. And not only just the games, but the lore too. Whether it was watching a MatPat video about how many kids a Purple Man murdered, or watching Markiplier scream about the bite of 87, I couldn't get enough of this game series. One aspect of these games that I never really was able to get into was the fan games. They all seemed so different from the main story I was used to, and they looked unpolished and amateur to my 13-year-old brain. However, there was one, a beacon in the Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, a game that really intrigued me, and it was different from any other fan game I had seen before. And when I jumped into the world of the game, I was surprised at what I found. Super Five Nights at Freddy's. This fan game was created by LSF Development and was released on October 23rd, 2016, which was half a decade ago. Oh my god. This game takes the core story of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise and compacts it into a stylized 16-bit retelling of the story. The game is made to look like a game you would play on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, hence the name Super Fnaf, also known as the SNES, which was released in 1990. This gives the game the edge of telling an already known story, but in a format no one has ever done. The first few points go to this game just on sheer creativity of basics. I mean, you'd expect a horror game based off of Super Mario World to be kind of dorky and half-assed, but what this game does with what it's given is actually really terrifying. This game keeps you engaged with interesting gameplay, seriously scary atmosphere, and amazing visuals, all while not even being categorized as a horror game. This game has many strong suits, but because it's a smaller indie fan game, I'm only going to be laying out the details of these in two categories: atmosphere and story. Without further ado, let's get into the haunting halls of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Happy Halloween. You can't talk about a stylized 16-bit game without talking about the quality of its graphics, and this game does so much with what little hardware it has. The pixel art almost perfectly captures what you'd expect from these characters to look like in 16-bit form, other than when you turn around to enter a room.
Damn, boy, he's thick! Boy, that's a thick-ass boy!
During gameplay, you have a zoomed-out 2D view of the environments with minimal yet detailed sprites shown in your classic SNES style. However, there are plenty of cuts in this game that show detailed pixel art depicting important moments such as the murder of the children, flashbacks, and emotional beats that convey more than a 2D platforming view could. The graphics get a lot done and never fail to tell the story properly. Additionally, the way this game uses its faded colors really amplifies the creep factor. It'd be one thing if these animatronic characters were brightly colored against its faded backdrops, but everything mixes so well together that no sprite looks unnatural in any environment. You can tell the creator carefully picked his color palettes in order to match the sprites with their backdrops, and the classic look of these colored animatronics in a decaying pizzeria is not lost in this fan game. If you were a Fnaf fan in the early days, you definitely know of a few original songs made by the living Tombstone as fan songs for the series. I can't throw it back on here unless I stand up on the chair. These songs were held so dear in the mind of fans that they were actually featured as 16-bit remixes in this game as the soundtrack. In the opening credits and many scenes of the game, you can hear various fan songs that actually fit the vibe of this game amazingly. We associate these songs so heavily with the franchise that hearing them in a natural gameplay environment doesn't seem out of place at all. And the music isn't just fan music. The creator of this game actually composed an original soundtrack that really fits this game and conveys the story in a way that no other soundtrack could. Whether you're looking back to a dark and harrowing murder, or just conversing with the other animatronics about the plan, the soundtrack really amplifies the atmosphere. This game's attention to detail in the franchise goes even further with the audio. To me, ambient audio is what makes most of the Fnaf games so scary, and this game leaves none of it out. Whether you're roaming through the dining hall or lurking in the empty bathrooms throughout the map, this game never loses the creepiness of being in an abandoned, haunted pizzeria with the souls of dead children everywhere. It's scary, even though you're playing as the animatronics here. Another thing the audio does well is in the dialogue. Obviously in the main game, the animatronics never talk to each other, but in this game, it's done in a very convincing way. While the dialogue is not always perfect, before I knew what happened, he jumped out of the car and stabbed me in the chest. I began to bleed out while I didn't know what came over me. What? I mean, it's not incorrect to describe it like that, it's just kind of lazy. But it's done very well and conveys the story perfectly. Like with most RPGs, the dialogue isn't spoken, but is backdropped by sound effects made to simulate speech. And this is one of my favorite parts about this game. Each animatronic has a different sound effect for their dialogue, even if it's just the same sound pitched up. And the sound effects used are as creepy as the environment and do wonders for the atmosphere of the game. The audio design in this game is really what makes it for me. I know I'm talking really highly of this game, but it is one of, if not the best fan games I've ever played, and the attention to detail is worth mentioning. The way this game creates its environment and uses it to tell the story is very impressive. That being said, the most harrowing part of this game is the haunting story it tells. It's time for a Worth Your Play speed round. When the game begins, you are shown to be in the location from the very first Fnaf game with the original animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica on stage. It is night 1. You control Bonnie to investigate the new night guard who is now working at the pizzeria. After investigating, Bonnie comes to the realization that the man working the night shift is in fact the purple guy, the one who killed 5 children years ago and forced their souls to inhabit the animatronics. Flashback to 1985 when the murders happened, and you play as a young boy named Richie, the soul that later possesses Bonnie. After investigating the restaurant, your attention is called over to a man in a yellow bunny suit leading the other kids into a back room. Back to the present, Bonnie goes back to the others to report his findings. However, there's an opportunity here to go into the supply closet in the security hallway and find Shadow Bonnie. Here, Shadow Bonnie will ask you to find his death report somewhere in the restaurant. The story progresses whether the player chooses to do this or not. When Bonnie gets back to the stage and informs the others, Freddy asks him to go inform Foxy the pirate, located in Pirate's Cove. After informing Foxy, the night ends. Night 2. The animatronics discuss how to take down the Night Guard, given that revenge is the only way to free their souls from their animatronic prisons. Armed with the kitchen key, they recruit help from the puppet, who asks for proof that the Night Guard really is the murderer. As Chica, you locate a camera in the restaurant and go down the hall to snap a photo of the killer to bring back to the puppet. While there, another flashback to 1985 triggers. In a horrifying turn of events, the game shows the actual murders taking place. To me, this is what separates this game from other fan games. The developer clearly knows how to produce a very visceral reaction from the player, seeing as nothing is omitted from these gruesome scenes of the infamous killer doing his work. I have yet to see a fan game or fan-made sequence that really captures the true lore and nature of this game like this one does. After remembering how she died, Chica brings the photograph back to the puppet, proving finally that the murderer is in the restaurant. The puppet examines the photo and decides to tell the rest of the souls what he knows about the killer. Flashback to the puppet as a child, standing in front of Fredbear's diner. A car rolls up and out steps the purple guy. He stabs the child and drives away. The puppet's soul tells the other souls how he came to find life in the puppet, and how the only way out of this eternal nightmare is revenge. The night ends. Night 3. You play as Freddy. From there, you're supposed to go to the kitchen and talk to Michael, the spirit that inhabits Golden Freddy. Freddy asks for help from Golden Freddy, and he says no. Freddy then goes to the puppet for help. The puppet scolds Freddy for being mean to Michael for all these years. After all, it was Michael's party where the murders happened. Freddy realizes he must apologize to Michael if he wants his help. The gang plan a birthday party for Golden Freddy as a way of saying sorry. The puppet, speaking in rhymes, summons the spirits of other animatronics to get a cake for Michael. This part of the game is weird. I always found it really derailed from the rest of the game, and it introduces a lot more characters and components just for a simple side quest. That being said, I really do like the way it calls back to the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 minigames and adds some challenging levels to the game, instead of the whole thing just being like an adventure item grab. You start as Toy Freddy and jump on balloons to grab one piece of the cake, then you play as Toy Bonnie and have to complete a DDR-style music minigame to get another piece of cake, then Chica to hand out cupcakes to get a cake piece, and then you play as Megal falling through a bunch of purple guy faces to get the final piece. All animatronics assemble to set up the party, they apologize to Michael, and the night ends. Night 4. The animatronics are ready to attack. They discuss their strategy and head for the security office. While heading there, the lighting in the restaurant turns red, posters on the wall change, and the player experiences hallucinations from the puppet. During this period of the game, you can find Shadow Freddy, who asks you to play a game of hide and seek with him. The story progresses whether the player chooses to do this or not. When you leave the stage, another series of flashbacks occur. The first one opens on a dark supply closet with children's bodies stuffed into various suits. There's one child left, Michael, alone with the killer. In a twist, you control the purple guy and are tasked with killing the last child. You chase Michael off a shelf, forcing him to fall and be crushed by the Golden Freddy suit. When you enter the security hall, we see in another flashback a distraught mother standing outside the pizzeria, begging the officers to let her inside to get her son out. The police refuse to let her go in. The flashback ends. Freddy and Chica appear into the office. Another flashback begins. There's a lot of flashbacks. I think Freddy has PTSD visions, like war. The flashback shows the same mother in front of a mirror. The phone rings and the mother picks it up. It's the police department. The officer informs the mom that no trace of the children were found in the restaurant, and the last time they were seen was security footage of them with a yellow rabbit, but there are no traces of the suit. The officer continues to explain that no suspects had been identified. The mother, hearing the solemn news, shoots herself. The animatronics are ready to strike. Draining the purple guy's power, they wait until the doors come up, and Freddy finally rushes him. But there's no one in the chair. He escaped. The animatronics gather around the desk. There's a newspaper clipping that reads, "Pizzeria closes down. Freddy Fazbear's is closing down. No more employees, no more night guards." The animatronics, in desperation and sadness, vow to stay there forever, waiting for William Afton, the killer. You got the abandoned ending. Now, there are multiple endings here. Remember those shadow animatronics that I mentioned earlier? You actually have to help them on their side quests in order to get the true ending. And if you complete the game without helping them, the game will give you a clue at the very end by showing the shadow animatronics all alone, giving you the abandoned ending. On night 1, you have the option to locate Shadow Bonnie's death report, which is found in the back of the supply closet. Bringing the report back to Shadow Bonnie unlocks a door in the supply closet that contains numerous references to other FNAF games, such as a basket of
exotic butters
and Balloon Boy.
Hello?
Doing this will free Shadow Bonnie's soul. On night 4, you have the option to play hide and seek with Shadow Freddy. The game seems to randomize the locations in which Shadow Freddy is found, but he can be found in places like the dining hall, the entrance, and the back of the supply closet. After you find Shadow Freddy a certain number of times, he tells you a code to a door, and his soul is freed. Unlocking the door shows a dark back room with a corpse of a night guard stuffed into a suit, and numerous articles on the wall about the murders in the pizzeria. Entering this room activates the final trigger needed to get the true ending. Now when the animatronics gather around the desk, the game seems to come to a close as before, but if you did help the shadow animatronics, the game continues with a cutscene showing Shadow Bonnie jumping into an arcade machine. You then play as Shadow Bonnie, clipping through various arcade game screens reminiscent of the true ending of FNAF 3. On the final screen, you meet Shadow Bonnie's son, and both souls move on to a better place. Back at the pizzeria, both Shadow Souls talk about one last thing left to do. The night ends. We open Night 5 on Freddy Fazbear's during the day. The animatronics are performing their final song. As the children say goodbye, the souls grow sad as their last interactions are cut off. Cut to a few months later. Freddy's is closed. The animatronics are dormant. Shadow Freddy comes into the stage area and coaxes Freddy out, telling him to follow me. They go into the bathrooms in a secret door, where the purple guy jumps out and dismantles Freddy with an axe, a recreation of FNAF 3's secret cutscenes. The same fate befalls Bonnie, then Chica, then Foxy. What the purple guy doesn't realize is that this action frees the spirits of the animatronics, including Golden Freddy, who makes his way to the back room, gathering with the other souls ready to finally take down their killer. Michael chases William into a spare yellow spring-lock suit. I just now realized that that's actually a parallel to Michael's death when you kill him as the purple guy. He falls into a yellow suit and you crush the other dude into a yellow suit. It's very poetic. Afton believes himself to be safe in the suit until the spring locks activate, crushing the killer, causing him to bleed out on the floor of the back room. All the spirits, other than the puppet, after finally taking their revenge, are able to move on. The night ends. The main game is over. Just kidding, there's an epilogue. That's right, unlocking the secret ending really just unlocks another 30 minutes of gameplay, but I think it's well worth it for helping the Shadow animatronics. Epilogue, 30 years later. We're back in the secret room. William Afton's rotting corpse still lays inside of the Yellow Bunny suit, which is rotted too. Two men find the back room and are excited to discover a completely intact animatronic. That don't look that intact to me, but, I'm not an expert. And haul it away to a new location, Fazbear's Fright. I'm praying that most of you watching have a decent understanding of the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, because it would take so long to explain why they take William Afton to Fazbear's Fright, what Fazbear's Fright is, why he's still alive, what all of that meant. Honestly, the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline is literally more confusing than the Zelda timeline, and that's saying something. If you're that confused, go watch a MatPat video. But also, it's 2021, and if you haven't caught the FNAF train by now, I don't think there's much else coming for you. Long story short, you're now playing as Springtrap, who is Purple Guy, in the FNAF 3 location. You roam the restaurant and stop to look at some child's drawings. The puppet peeks out from a stack of presents and greets you. The puppet explains that he gave Springtrap life so that you may suffer how the other animatronics suffered. Springtrap begins to explain to the puppet how he lost his daughter to one of his own robots, and then his son to another animatronic. He then explains why he killed the puppet and that stopping him was the right thing to do. Here, the game switches control to the puppet and gives you a choice. You can forgive Purple Guy for everything he had done, or you can choose not to forgive him. If you don't forgive him, the spirits of the children return to laugh at Afton, and the puppet mocks him for asking for forgiveness. From there, the puppet leaves you, and you are tasked with burning the attraction down. Your final mission is to spread gasoline across the building to finally put an end to all of it. After putting gasoline on the floor of the entire attraction, Springtrap ignites it and leaves the building, giving you the escaped ending. But if you do choose to forgive him, all the spirits come down and forgive Afton with the puppet. Forgiving Afton causes the puppet's soul, Sammy, to finally find peace and move on. Additionally, after spreading all the gasoline, Afton sits down and burns with the attraction instead of leaving. This is the true ending. The credits roll, and the game is over. Wow. I remember the first time I found this game when I was about 13. I was so into FNAF, and I was looking at recommendations on YouTube, and I found this small game, and it really honestly scared me because of the story it tells is so well done. This game tells a complete story with many emotional beats and actually well-developed characters. This game's story is about 2 hours all the way through, so I obviously had to condense it a little bit. But in my opinion, 2 hours is a perfect length for an indie fan game. You can complete it in one sitting and still get a full game experience. If you want to see the full story and all the details of the writing and amazing characters, I suggest playing the game for yourself. It's absolutely free, which is abysmal considering how much work went into it and how fulfilling the story is. I would literally pay $20 for this game. It's well worth it, but the developer gave it to us for absolutely free, which is amazing. Overall, this game provides amazing looking graphics, sprites, and pixel art. Its sound design is well created to make the atmosphere creepy and immersive. The story is engaging and morbidly interesting, and its gameplay, while simple, keeps the player engaged with side quests and plenty of main game content to keep you busy. If you were or are a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, I highly recommend playing this game. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free. It's still good 5 years later. please go play it. Well, that's about as in-depth review as I can do of this game, and now for the question at the end of every video, is this worth your play? And the answer to this one is pretty simple. Yes, this one's worth your play. If you like Five Nights at Freddy's, if you like fan games, if you like indie games, please play it. It's well worth your time. It has an amazing story, great graphics, and I literally thought about this game for 5 years on. I discovered this game 5 years ago, and I'm just now making a video about it. Before I end this video, I do want to say a few things about the history of this video. Obviously, this is the first upload for me in a while, and before that, even longer, so I'm actually getting back on my feet and doing some YouTube stuff again just for fun. There's actually a pretty interesting history behind this video. I'm not sure if a lot of the videos are still up on my channel, but you can find traces of me talking about this very video 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I actually planned on making this video when I was a 13-year-old in 2017 with 60 subscribers. I know, it's been 4 years and I only have 10 more subscribers, but it's progress! But 4 years ago, I planned on making this video and wasn't able to finish it in the time, and I was really disappointed, and Halloween had already passed. I wasn't gonna do the special again. I'd written a script, I'd collected footage, I had the whole shebang done, but it wasn't done in time. The following year, I thought about it again, but threw it away, and the year after that, I threw it away again, and didn't really think about it for a long time, and then this year, I really decided, after watching a lot of my videos, that I think I finally need to make my 13-year-old self proud and finish this video that's literally been 4 years in the making. And this is a new show. This was the first episode of the show I teased for months and never came. And this is now the first episode 4 years after I teased the show originally. More than 4 years after I teased the show. It's crazy to think how far I've come and really haven't changed that much when it comes to YouTube. And it was actually really nice setting up this whole set, getting the lights, the camera, sitting down, writing the scripts, and editing has been kind of, it's been rough for this video, but I really hope I can get this out by Halloween for you guys and not make the same mistake I did 4 years ago. And I'm just really happy to be doing YouTube and stuff again. I do think this will be a reoccurring show. Don't quote me on that. I might get unmotivated and never do another episode of this, but I really want to continue this. So if you want me to continue this, please show this video a lot of support. Give it a big thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Refresh the page a few times to give it a few. Does that even work anymore? Can you do that? Refresh it a few times to get some views. And if you want to see me review a game on here, literally just leave it in the comments. If I've played it, I will probably review it on this channel. And even if I haven't played it, leave it in the comments below, and I might play it if it's that good and review it on here. But really, I just want to get back up and start doing some YouTube stuff again. And this has been a really good opportunity for me to do it. I know I've been rambling forever, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode of Worth Your Play, coming maybe soon to a theater near you. I'm MuffinWantsMuffin. This has been Worth Your Play. Have a good day.